Hi, my name is Sheridan, and this is my second project presentation for my Irashai project in ICOM 495. And I'm just going to address the problem that my project is looking to fix. I'm a Japanese major, and I like to read manga occasionally to help with my Japanese. And manga are Japanese comic books that a lot of them are translated into English, but of course, it's more beneficial to read them in their native Japanese because you can get a more natural flow of conversation than just reading a practice text out of a textbook or something. But it can be difficult for novice learners or even intermediate learners to read manga because Japanese has three different writing systems. Two of them, hiragana and katakana, are just basically syllables or what each symbol represents, so they're pretty easy to understand. But the third writing system, which is kanji, is very difficult because each kanji can represent a different idea, and they can be hard to read because depending on how they're combined with other kanji, they can have different pronunciations and different meanings. So it can be very hard to know what they mean. And sometimes you don't know the pronunciation of a kanji when you're reading a manga, and so and if you don't know the word at all, then you'll have to jump back and forth between a dictionary or um, an online tool where you can look at the structure of the kanji and figure out how it's pronounced that way, which can be very time consuming and tedious. So, for my project, I am creating Irashai, which is a digital manga. And what that means is that it's like a print manga, but all of the information you may not know is already there in the text. So, say you see a word and you don't know what it means, you can just click on the word and the definition and how it's pronounced will be there. And of course, the goals are to teach users how to read Japanese so that they can learn some new words and definitions, learn some new kanji, or if they're starting out, they can learn how to read and write hiragana and katakana, and to also create a fun, engaging story that promotes educational advancement so that people want to learn what they're reading. So, this is my paper prototype, and the goal for this paper prototype was to just find out what the best design for my project would look like, um, how easy the navigation would be if people could understand the structure, especially for novice users if they're not really familiar with the structure of um, manga. If they have never read a paper manga, then it can be a bit difficult to know how to read them. So just to see if people could understand that and to check and see if the content was easily understandable. So if someone was just starting out learning Japanese, that they could um, figure out what exactly they were learning. So my project, it just takes a look at the first 15 hiragana that you usually learn when you study Japanese. Um, just because of time constraints, I didn't have enough time to try and make a whole entire manga because they're generally about 100 to 200 pages, which is a lot. And so, with my paper prototype, I just did the first chapter, which would be again looking at the first 15 hiragana, and I did the layout like a manga would be if it was printed in paper. It's generally they have about 5 panels per page, and they're read right to left, and so um, people would read it that way, and they could jump between pages and chapters as well if they wanted to, um, if the project was complete. But for the sake of time, again, I only did one chapter, so they could only move through one chapter and those pages in it. And I put all the content in there, so like people would see the character in Japanese and then what it means in English, or in the case of hiragana, what syllable it represents. So um, one sound would be like an E sound. One character would be an E sound, and people could learn it that way. And I tested my material through a cognitive walkthrough. Um, I just wrote out, you know, can you get to here? How easy is it to get to this point or learn what I'm wanting for you to learn? And so for the paper prototype, again, I tested the navigation, the depth of the content, and how good the design was. And I got pretty good feedback from it. I learned that the navigation system was pretty good, and easily understood that it made sense to have the arrows left to right and being able to have a drop down of different pages you could jump to, and that the content was easily understood. They knew what the symbols meant when paired with their English equivalents, and that the design was pretty good as well. And for my digital prototype, again, testing pretty much the same things as the paper prototype, just the ease of the navigation, how easy the content is to understand, and if the design is appealing. So this is a digital prototype. It's a bit different than the paper one. I don't have a character design. So you would hit enter and then you would go to the first page, and then you could learn about the project as well. And so just read that setting, that those two paragraphs, and learn about what the project is. And you can go back to the home page. And again, the different links aren't working for the other chapters, but you could go to Hiragana 1, where you would learn the first 15 hiragana. So again, the content didn't really change from the paper prototype. Just some of the navigation is a bit different. I didn't put a drop menu. Instead, I just had next and back buttons. So you can only move linearly through the project instead of being able to jump back and forth to different pages or different chapters. Because at this point, it's not important to be able to go through the different chapters because they are not created. Okay, and what I learned from my digital prototype is that the navigation was still pretty good. People liked it. Um, and yeah, it was easy to use, and they liked the linear structure of it. Um, I got a little feedback about the first page that the content was a bit too wordy in the instruction of what hiragana are and how to read Japanese. So that's something I'll need to work on. But the main issue I found with my digital prototype was that it wasn't as visually engaging as most people would have liked it to be. So just that the content was okay, but looking at the content, it was a bit boring, and that people would have liked to see something that's a little more visually interesting. So some changes that I'm planning on making to this project are finding ways to add more color, maybe on the cover page making it a bit more detailed, and figuring out a better color palette, and then adding color to the different manga pages, which is a bit different because most manga are drawn and published in black and white. But because it is a digital project, I won't need to worry about the costs of ink or anything like that. So making it in color shouldn't be a problem. I just need to pick a good color palette for that. And then some of the users I tested who are Japanese majors and have read manga before said there should be a character like I had in the paper prototype, that it would make it more interesting to read if you're following a character or being guided by a character. It would make learning Japanese more fun and engaging. Again, trying to explain how hiragana or the Japanese writing system works, trying to make it a little less wordy, or maybe the spreading out the the definitions and things like that, just so that they're not all clumped onto a single page. And then also creating audio for how to pronounce the words, or in this case, for my project, the syllables. Since, if someone's a novice, they might not be familiar with how to pronounce Japanese. So creating that audio for my project and um, uh, just making it a little more engaging overall, making it more interactive. So maybe doing some animations as well. But yeah, those are the things I'm going to work on for my project next week when I turn in the new or the updated digital prototype. So that's all I have for now. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you.